What's going on, golf addicts? It's the Tour Junkies Golf Show on the Bettor Sports Network. Thanks for joining us. It's the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. You know what it is. It's the celebrities, it's the pros, it's the 7-hour rounds, it's Larry the Cable Guy, it's Bill Murray, and then you got us, DB here. Pat Perry, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing fantastic. It's great to be here, DB. Ready to see Bill Murray joke with some fans, shank a few balls, do all the things that he does every single year. Wear a crazy hat, maybe some knickers.
Can you do the Alfonso Ribeiro dance?
I can do it. Yeah.
You can? Could you do it just like waist up right here to open up the show? I'm pretty sure that's not it.
I don't think that's it. You got to have the feet movement to it, but it's got the arms going one way or the other.
It does have arms. It does have arms.
Yeah.
I think it's more like.
Oh, yeah, it is kind of.
Yeah. Anyway, you got that going on. It's a weak field, but we're here to help you, because you know what? Long shots win this thing. You could hit an absolute bomb, a nuclear bomb, if you're betting the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro, and we got you covered. We're going to talk about our betting thoughts, give you a preview of the Pebble Beach golf courses and how that's looking. We got another Just the Tip segment to help you out today. It's going to help you DFS players out a good bit. This is a very DFS-centric show this week because our guest is the Degenerate75. He's a fantastic DFS Showdown player specifically. He's coming on kind of a block 3 for us. We're going to do our cash game lineup, which hit again last week. So we're 2-1 with the cash games, helping you just gradually build your bankroll. So I'm excited. But before we move on to that, we do have to recap the Farmers because, Pat, we have to pat ourselves on the back. So you pat yourself on the back, and I'll pat myself on the back because we helped people win a lot of money last week.
We did.
Pat gave you, I think we gave you like 3 names for the first round leader. And one of them happened to be Aaron Rye, who was tied for the first round lead at 65-1. You probably had to chop that up, but like what, 22-1?
Yeah, I mean 22-1. I'll take it. I'll take it. If you followed that, if you tailed that, you won a little bit of money. So
very good. And then as the week progressed, if you read my DB's Big Balls betting card article that's posted for free on tourjunkies.com, it's on the website. I tweeted it. It's in our emails that go out. It's in our Discord server. And we talked about his name on this show. Max Homa takes down the Farmers at Torrey Pines at 25-1 for us. So we cleaned up. We had a great week. It was a wonderful week. Max Homa, I mean, what can you say about him? I mean, the guy won his 6th PGA Tour event, and he looks to be in, he looks like he doesn't want to stop. He doesn't want to quit. We were hoping it wasn't going to be Jon Rahm last week. We were upset that Jon Rahm was playing so good, and he was like 4.5-1 as the favorite. He made quite the move on Thursday for round 2, and then he just kind of shot up the leaderboard on Friday, and then by Saturday he didn't have his best day in the final round. But Max Homa gets it done, and boy, he looks good, Pat.
He looks amazing. I think the best thing about Max Homa that I noticed, and it's been there before because this was his 6th victory, but the guy's just a killer. He gets that little taste of blood in the water that he can win a golf tournament, and he takes it. I mean, he takes it, and I mean, every time I've seen him in the lead, I don't think I've seen him relinquish that lead or not take it over when he had the chance to do it, and he did it again on Saturday, not Sunday, because this was a Saturday finish. Max Homa, I just love his mentality out there. I love how he plays the game. We know about him on social media. He kind of, before he really started winning big and doing all the things he's doing now, he's great on social media, likes to have a good time, but he's also a really good golfer, and he showed that again this past weekend.
Yeah, and if you weren't paying attention to, like, we don't typically endorse betting futures for majors like too far in advance, but late on Saturday, I mean, we tweeted it and we put it in the Discord, and there were other people talking about it, but the U.S. Open this year, Pat, is at LA Country Club. Now, Max is a California guy, played golf at UCLA. No, played golf at Cal Berkeley, my bad. And the majority of his wins have come in the state of California. He's comfy in California, right? And, oh, by the way, he's the course record holder at LA Country Club with a 61, and that is where the U.S. Open will be in just a couple months. Max was a 50-1 number Saturday afternoon. I don't know what he is now. I haven't looked at it, but I'm sure it's in the 30s and maybe getting shorter because I know it made it to the 30s late on Saturday after he won. So you got to be watching for things like that, opportunities like that for a guy like him who just has proven he can get it done in big regular events. But now it's time to get it done in majors, and I think he can take a quick leap. So it'll be exciting to see what he has, what comes of him. Other storylines last week on the PGA Tour side, other than Rahm's kind of struggle a little bit. I say struggle, like he didn't have his A game, and he still finished like top 10, didn't he? He was in the conversation on Saturday.
You take out he had a poor round by his standards on the first day of the golf tournament with shooting 1 over, and then he shoots 2 over on Sunday. You take out those, and he's right there in the mix. So, I mean, yeah, it wasn't a great tournament for him, but hey, I'm glad it allowed us to hit Max Homa.
Yes. Also, Ricky Fowler. Ricky Fowler, the radar is up. I mean, he was in the conversation a little bit on round 4, and then he made a couple bad mistakes. Had a couple of chipping issues out of that thick Kikuyu grass we talked about last week, but it does look like if you've been a casual golf fan for the last few years, you know who Ricky Fowler is at least, and you may have been wondering where he's been. Well, he's kind of coming back. He's got the Butch Harmon swing working. Swing looks good. I think we need to watch out. We could see a good season out of Ricky.
Yeah, I agree. You know, do you think too, like now that he's kind of playing better, that we definitely look at him even in majors, because the tough golf courses seem to be where he shines, like Farmers last week. You know, you saw like the 1 year where he had 4 finishes inside the top 5 of majors. He grinds it out on these tough courses, and then he won at the Players Championship, another tough course. Now, I'm not saying he's winning majors, but maybe you got some top 20s numbers in there for Ricky Fowler that could be pretty good. But I do think Waste Management coming up could be an interesting spot for him.
Yeah, Waste Management for sure. A tournament he's had a lot of success at before. Obviously, I think he's won there, right?
Yes.
But for me, if we're talking Ricky and we're talking majors, I think you got to talk Augusta. You got to talk the Masters. And I mean, this could be a little hyperbolic, right? We haven't seen Ricky win in a little while. So I don't want to get too juiced up. And the thing about Ricky is, at least back in the day with Ricky, is like he was such a fan favorite. The books always shortened the number so much because they knew people were going to pound it. But I mean, right now, where would you guess his odds are for the Masters right now?
I would say just based off the field, because it's so, there's only 90 something players in there right now. Probably around 65, 70 to 1, something like that.
Okay. He is 80 to 1 on DraftKings.
Okay.
He is 90 to 1 on FanDuel. First of all, wait a minute. Is he even in the Masters?
That's what I was wondering. Like, I know they're
yet.
giving lines for him, but I don't know if he's technically in yet.
Let's see where he is on MGM. That'll be the last book I kind of check here. Yeah, he's 80 to 1 on MGM. Let's look at the world golf ranking, because he would have had to been top 50 in the world at the end of the year, right? Last year.
They'll have another cutoff at the
yeah.
I can't remember which tournament. It used to be the Houston Open, but now it's another one because they moved it.
Let's see. Richard Flower. Where is he? Dang it. Okay, he's number 99 right now. So he's got a little ways. He's got a little ways to go if he's going to be in the Masters. But yeah, so I don't know. He's going to have to step on it, because he's only got. I mean, he's got Waste Management. I don't know if he's in Riviera at Genesis. I'm sure he'll probably play the Honda, because he's. I don't think that one's elevated. Then you got Bay Hill. I don't know if he's in that one. Valero. Is that right? No, wait a minute. That's not right. Yeah. Anyway, he's got
Honda's actually a good, bringing that up. I mean, that's one, I believe he's either won on or he's come close to winning another difficult course that he's played well. And he just does well in difficult conditions. It'll just be interesting to see. This all leads to the fact that I do agree. I think he's not all the way back, because he's not all the way back until he gets a victory. But I mean, he's definitely there, and he's trending in the right direction, and it's good to see. We need a good Ricky Fowler.
Yeah. Producer Will, thank you. He clarifies he definitely did not qualify last year. So yeah, I don't know why I forgot about that.
You just got all excited about Ricky.
True. We got just a few minutes. We got to hit the Reed Rory stuff from last year. If people didn't see it, there's so much that went down between the tee throw or the tee toss. Then you had the tree ruling issue. Basically, holy moly! Like the drama in was it Dubai last week? They were in
Yes.
Dubai. Rory McIlroy wins by 1 over Patrick Reed after a lot of drama. The driving range drama that happened early in the week where Reed went over to shake the hand of Harry Diamond and Rory, and I talked about this on the Wednesday show with Moose and Keith, but that was funny. And then these guys start going, and they start playing good, and they're I think they both were 8 under at one point, tied for the lead, and then they didn't end up being able to be tied or play together. But then you had the ruling thing. I mean, did you get a chance to look at any of the breakdown footage of the tree and the shot? And do you have your opinions on the ruling?
I did not get to see that. I just know it was all over social media. But what wouldn't happen with Reed and some crazy tree or something, And then he's asking for a ruling, I'm sure, and he probably got the favorable one. I don't know.
My wife was like, I was talking to my wife about it, and she was like, how does she's like, it seems like he's good at finding new ways. Like, just when you think he's run out of new ways to cheat in golf, he continues to find new ways. And I mean, the video that the Golf Channel put out and that Brandel Chambly put out is quite damning of Reed here, because the video clearly shows the golf ball flying into the first palm tree and getting stuck. And Reed claimed it fell into the third palm tree, and that he, it was given binoculars. He's spotting the ball in the tree, and claims to the rules official that he sees his ball, sees the arrow that he draws on his ball to mark it with, and therefore gets the drop at that tree. Now it's a penalty shot, but the alternative, if he couldn't spot his ball, would be to go back to the first tee and re-tee with a penalty shot. And guess who was standing on the first tee when all this happened? Rory McIlroy. Like,
which is great.
How awesome would that have been? Like, that would have been incredible. But I mean, the penalty shot cost him too. I mean, he lost by a stroke to Rory. But the drama there was pretty crazy. It's really hard to believe that Patrick Reed, now
you need to watch what you say, DB.
Yeah, maybe
you need to watch what you say, because you're going to get part of a lawsuit. You're going to get served papers on Christmas Eve or something, just because of all this talk, this negative talk you're sending Reed's way lately.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what he could take from me other than like TJ merch, but I guess there's a world where he really thinks he identified his ball, but it really wasn't his ball. But it's pretty rough. And Brandel, speaking of guys who've gotten a letter, I mean, Brandel Chambly is actively being sued by Patrick Reed. And then props to him. I mean, I don't agree with everything that dude says or does, but I mean, he let him hang on the Golf Channel and did like a full, 5-minute segment to say like, no, this dude cheated and I'm about to prove it to you. Here you go. Like, here's the evidence. He like delivered it. So it was fun. It was fun to watch the drama. I'm here for the drama. A lot of guys are in Saudi this week, playing in the Saudi International event. I think Harold Varner won last year. He's the defending champ. Some of those live guys playing over there. But it's a lot of good action coming in the golf world, very soon. So stay tuned. All right, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Pebble Beach preview, our betting thoughts, just the tip, and our guest, Degenerate75. So stay right here on the Bettor Sports Network.
Tour Junkies on Bettor Sports Network.
Bettor Sports Network is sponsored by Lucra.
Your 2023 prediction on the promo that we play was the Lakers was going to make the playoffs and beat somebody in the first round.
Hey, I hope we match up against Memphis.
That's not going to happen.
I hope we match up against Memphis.
And you'll get swept.
Ain't no way we get swept.
Sweep them. The Memphis Grizzlies would be swept. They would be laughing at them.
If the Lakers make the playoffs with AD healthy, Westbrook off the bench, and LeBron, everybody's healthy, they will beat the Memphis Grizzlies 100%.
We will be on Lucra betting on that game right 100%. Now. All right, Bettor Sports Network is sponsored by Lucra. Lucra is redefining friendly competition. Compete in the games you play and the sports you watch with Lucra. Download the Lucra app right now to create a contest and bet against your friends in as little as 15 seconds. Use the promo code BSN when you sign up to receive a free $5 to play with. Winning is fun, and beating your friends is even better.
Lucra is redefining friendly competition. Download the Lucra app today to challenge your friends and win money.
Now back to Tour Junkies on Bettor Sports Network.
That's right. Bettor Sports Network is sponsored by Lucra. Lucra's redefining friendly competition. Compete in the games you play and the sports you watch with Lucra. Download the Lucra app right now to create a contest and bet against your friends in as little as 15 seconds. And use promo code BSN when you sign up to receive a free $10 to play with. Winning is fun, and beating your friends is even better with Lucra. Shout out to Lucra for supporting the Bettor Sports Network. I'm DB. We're the Tour Junkies. This is the Tour Junkies Golf Show here, talking on the Bettor Sports Network. Thanks for hanging with us. Don't go anywhere, because Degenerate75 is going to bring the energy. He's going to teach you all you need to know about Showdown golf on DraftKings, especially. The guy's really good at it. He's good at explaining it. He's the guy. So we're bringing him on, talking Showdown this week, and we're going to talk some DFS. We're going to talk some betting here in this segment for the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. Pat, I guess just maybe I'll let you start off with like just basic things to know about this golf tournament for those who may be new and dipping their toe in the DFS or betting waters.
Yeah, so this is one of the oldest tournaments on tour. They've had it forever. We're back on a 3 rotation, so a 3-course rotation tournament. So they're going to play Pebble Beach, they're going to play Spyglass Hill, they're going to play Monterey Peninsula for 3 days, and then if they make the cut, they'll be on Pebble Beach for the 4th day. So all of those courses have Homa greens, which is we talked about it last week. It's very prevalent in California. Bumpy greens late in the day, but you're going to get some scoring this week. Typically, we get somewhere around 15 to 20 under is going to be the winner. They don't set it up that difficult, especially Pebble Beach compared to everybody loves to talk about Pebble Beach, and they look at it from there's been plenty of majors played there, and they've been difficult there, but they don't set it up that difficult because you've got the amateurs, you've got the guys like Bill Murray and Larry the Cable Guy, and all of them. They can't have it too hard. With this tournament, you're definitely going to look at guys that can score, but it's a ball strikers course, almost all of them. You got to hit fairways, you got to hit greens, and then it's a putting contest after that. But we typically see a lot of different types of players that can win here. DJ's won here a lot, and DJ's known for hitting the ball far. But then we've seen a guy like Tom Hoagie last year win, a guy that's a great ball striker, one of the best ball strikers in the world. You see a guy like Jordan Spieth win. So a lot of different players can win here. It's definitely an interesting week. We don't have a great field this week. I mean, overall, you got some top names like your Jordan Spieth, but then you're looking at, Victor Hovland's up there, one of your higher price guys when it comes to DFS, Matthew Fitzpatrick, but you don't see, your John Rahms here, the field like we had last week with a John Rahm, Xander Schauffele, all the big names that were there. So, it's a good week, a lot of scoring. And so there you go. That's the quick rundown, DV.
Not a lot of depth to the field, that's for sure. It's a pretty steep drop off. It drops off like some of the cliffs at Pebble Beach, or the cliff that Jordan Spieth almost everyone was worried was going to fall down from last week or last year. I think I've seen the winning score projections around 18.5 under. So yeah, like Pat said, you're going to get scoring. The weather can be a thing at Pebble, wind, colder temperatures. It looks like we're going to get a little bit of that this year. I saw kind of temps in the 50s. The wind's coming up on Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday as of now. So things to keep in mind. It's one of those courses where everybody kind of hits to the same spot off the tee. You don't have to be a long hitter to be successful here, although long hitters have won. DJ, Phil Mickelson, right? Those guys have won here before, but a lot of like middling to shorter hitters have won and done very well here too, because it really comes down to your iron play inside of 150 yards. How close can you give yourself the birdie opportunities? And then with these small greens that Pat mentioned, these small Poana greens, you're going to miss them from now, every now and then. Plus, with the win this week, you're going to miss a little bit more. So you're going to have to get up and down. You're going to have to save some scores here and there, get up and down on the par 5s, get up and down to save par on the par 4s and par 3s. But that's what we're getting. In terms of trends and historical, winners, last year you did have Tom Hoagie at 60-1. Daniel Berger the year before that at 18. Nick Taylor at 160-1. in 2020. Phil Mickelson won at 25-1. Ted Potter Jr. in 2018 won at 500-1. And Vaughn Taylor, I want to highlight as well, won in 2016 at 300-1. And I'm saying that because, like, and then Jordan Spieth won between Potter and Taylor at 9-1. Like, we've really had some really short hitters hit and then some bombs. But I mean, I was looking today, the field strength rating that the World Golf Ranking gives to indicate how strong a field is based on World Golf Rankings of its players. The field strength rating was better when Nick Taylor won at 160-1, Ted Potter won at 500-1, and when Vaughn Taylor won at 300-1 than it is this year. So if you're sitting here looking at this field going, man, I don't know if I can bet on a guy at 150-1 or whatever to beat Jordan Spieth and Matt Fitzpatrick and Victor Hovland. Well, it's happened 3 years since 2016. It's happened in stronger fields with better players up top. So this is definitely an opportunity to maybe take a few shots. I just published my Big Balls betting card on tourjunkies.com. If you want to go check that out, it's a free 3 to 4 minute read. I give you my picks there. They're all bombs. So, and we're hot in that one. We're up 42 units on the season. So that's something to keep in mind. In terms of other trends, it's also a place where experience has really seemed to matter at Pebble Beach. And experience just in general. 15 of the last 16 winners were PGA Tour Victor winners already. 12 of the last 12 winners had at least 105 starts on the PGA Tour experience, right? Not rookies. 13 of the last 13 winners played in at least 2 AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Ams. The last 16 winners had finished 21st or higher in a previous AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. 48 of the last 51 winners have been American. Like, that's wild to me. Like, we've not had an international winner almost at all at this golf tournament. So for whatever reason, I don't know, but you can tell that the experience around Pebble and just the experience in general matters. And I think it's because there's some nuance to this place. Anything else you'd add there?
No, I think that's, I agree. I think you definitely have to have some experience, especially on Pebble Beach. I would say that, one thing when you're looking at 3 courses, a lot of times people think the main course is the most difficult, so Pebble Beach. But a lot of times we have seen Spyglass Hill be the most difficult course out here. So if you're looking at first round leaders and that kind of stuff, maybe not, look at Spyglass Hill, because I think that one plays a little more difficult from time to time. So
yeah, and I would say, I mean, the all 3 of them play a little bit closer to each other than, say, last week North and South Torrey Pines course did. But, but yeah, there is a little bit of difference there with Spyglass being a little tougher. But those are all some things to know. In other words, what we're saying is let's take some shots this week. If you're betting, if you're doing some top 20s, or you're playing DFS, like, don't be afraid to fade the chalk. As always, we're going to get into that, and don't be afraid to take a few shots, because this could certainly be, I mean, there's a lot of other variables too, like 6-hour rounds with freaking dumb amateurs, right? Like, guys have to be able to put up with that and tolerate that and be okay with that and perform at a high level. They're doing their job. So those are all important things to know, trends to know about Pebble Beach. So now let's get to the segment that we like to call Just the Tip. We're just giving you a little nugget here, advice. If you're just getting started in betting or playing fantasy golf of any kind, we want to give you a little bit of help every week to kind of help you get your, get your feet wet, right? So this week is my turn to deliver just the tip, and we're gonna be real DFS focused here, and talk about ownership leverage in DFS and what you need to understand if you're playing in GPPs, guaranteed prize pools. Those big contests with those big payouts that everybody gets excited about, right? If you're playing in those contests in DFS, you've got to understand a couple things. Number one, you are playing against other entries. This is not you versus the book, not you versus DraftKings. You're playing against other people, constructing lineups of 6 guys within a $50,000 salary cap. And the goal is to score more points than everybody else, right? And if you're playing in these tournaments, the goal really should be, my goal is to finish in the top 1 to 3% of lineups. The top lineup, or like the top 3% lineups, that's the goal when you're building the lineup. If your goal is to just cash, which is usually around the 20% mark in DFS on DraftKings, if your goal is just like, let me build this lineup, in the Millie Maker, whenever they start having those again for golf, if your goal is like, let me just min cash and almost, double my money, then you're in the wrong contest. You should be playing 50-50s and double ups on DraftKings if that's the case. But if your goal is like, hey, I'm trying to take down something big. I want to win something big. That's why I'm playing. I can afford to lose what I'm putting in the contest. Great. Then you play those GPPs, those guaranteed prize pools, those featured contests with the big entries and the big dollar signs and the big player and prize pools. In that event, though, you've got to make sure the mindset is top 1 to 3%. Now, how do you finish in the top 1 to 3%? Well, it's really hard, first of all, and you should know that most players, even really good players that have been playing for a long time, lose a lot. Okay, they lose a lot. But if you set yourself up for success, you remember a couple of key things. You keep with the process. You make changes when necessary. You pay attention. You do your research. You do your homework. Eventually, you get there, and it only takes a few hits a year, and you're coming out positive. But ownership leverage in those tournaments is so key. You have to have a couple of low-owned guys that when they pop, you are rapidly moving up the leaderboard. If you're just playing 6 chalky guys or 5 chalky guys because you love them, and so does everybody else because they check all the boxes and they have the course history and they have the recent form and all this stuff, then you have to have the nut. You have to have the nut flush, right? You have to have the nuts in that other one little spot in order to pass everybody else. And it's not very likely that you're going to have that perfect combo. So you've got to have players in your lineup that are low owned, that are going to help you move up the board. Now, what does that look like? Well, it probably looks like a total ownership percentage. So that's something that you might hear some people talk about. You got 6 players in the DraftKings lineup for golf. That total ownership percentage would be ideally somewhere less than like 70% if you add up all the projected ownerships of your players. So if you're putting in lineups and not considering ownership, you are doing it very, very wrong. And you're definitely going to lose money long-term. You may get lucky here and there, but you're definitely going to lose money long-term. You've got to watch your ownership. So find the guys that you have leverage with and play those guys. All right. Anything else you could add there?
Oh man, that's a lot. I do agree though with ownership. It's huge, especially in DFS. And it can be sometimes hard to decipher the different ownership numbers that are out there. So I think you got to find the sites that you trust that tend to be more at least accurate. It's a very hard science to get ownership exactly right. And some of that's just in your own kind of mind. When you're looking through players, you can sort of see like, this is definitely going to be where the chalk is. If it's, maybe a guy that's got great recent form and has won the tournament, good course history, things like that. But I think that ownership is definitely probably, with winning tournaments, the number one thing you got to look at.
Yep. And a guy that knows a little bit about ownership is coming on next. He's our guest. The Degenerate75 is coming up next on the Tour Junkies Golf Show. Stay right here on Bettor Sports Network. We will be right back.
Tour Junkies on Bettor Sports Network. Moose and Keith. Weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern.
The word genius is there. Bob Glover, it describes him. Bob, so when's the last time that Twitter defeated you? Because I've been defeated by Twitter today.
I'll tell you how Twitter defeated me one time. I had the mistaken impression that the year that Troy Polamalu won the Defensive Player of the Year, it looked like it was going to go to Clay Matthews Jr. And I tweeted it. And there was a guy on the media bus. He was like, oh, yeah, he's got it. A guy I trust. I won't tell you who it was, but his initials are Mike Garofalo. So I went with it. Got a DM from Rich Eisen, NFL Network. He goes, you sure about that? I go, oh, man. Oh, I just got this wave. Because, accuracy to me is really important.
Yeah.
So I'm literally on the media bus. We're just getting back from media day. We are slipping and sliding in Dallas. It's snowing. I get off the bus. I open my laptop. I'm hunched over. And I just, literally people are passing me. Bob, what's wrong? And it was Polamalu. And Adam Schefter had retweeted me. Trey Wingo had retweeted me. I'm like, oh, I'm dead.
So when it's Polamalu, then how do you handle that? What was the subsequent tweet
I think
afterwards?
I said, got some bad Twitter info. I didn't put Garofalo's name on there. I had to
10 years later, you can out him. I like that. Yeah.
He wouldn't mind that. He knows the stories.
Yeah.
He actually said to me, hey, Bob, I think you might have jumped the gun on that. I was like, oh, crap. There we go.
Campus to Canton on the Bettor Sports Network.
Would Dion bench Shador?
I don't think he would.
Like, how bad would it have to be? Because we've seen horrendous quarterback play from this Colorado team for the last, 4 years, 5 years? JT Shroud, Brandon Lewis, just terrible quarterback play. Like, they were 131st, which is dead last in pass EPA per play. Obviously, it will be better, but how bad does it have to be for him to bench his own son? Like, I'm not sure he will ever either, like, especially with the attitude that he came in with.
If they don't get Rashada, who do they bench him for this year anyway? I don't know that there's another answer on that roster that you go to. They don't really have a guy behind him, so I don't even know if we would know the answer to that until the next year, assuming that, he doesn't declare for the draft, he returns, they bring somebody else that's competent and behind him.
If they're going to do this the Lincoln Riley way, next year would be the class to bring somebody in. Shador Sanders is going to be a third-year player, so he's going to play 2023. I don't think he's declaring for the 2024 NFL draft, so he's going to play in 2024 and then declare for the 2025 NFL draft. And let's remember this, he hasn't had a full recruiting cycle at Colorado. He will have that next recruiting cycle, so maybe he could get one of these class of 2024 quarterbacks there to come to Colorado.
However you're invested in sports, from betting to fantasy, collectibles, and more, join our community on Bettor Sports Network. Making you money in daily fantasy sports and golf betting. Tour Junkies on Bettor Sports Network.
That's right. Welcome back to the Tour Junkies Golf Show on the Bettor Sports Network. We're talking AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am this week, betting. Talking DFS. We're a little DFS heavy on this show this week, but I'm excited to welcome in our guest for the week. His name is James. He is the Degenerate75. You need to follow this dude on Twitter, on YouTube, all the above. Thanks for joining us, man. We appreciate it.
Hey, man, it's crazy to be here. I've been listening to you guys literally for years. I remember back in the day, there was a bet between you two, and the loser had to drink ranch water. And now literally ranch water is a huge part of my brand. But now it's like, to me, it's not ranch and water to mix. It's like a refreshing adult beverage that I drink on a regular basis. And I feel it just links to my connection to you guys.
That's funny. I mean, you're right. Like, I do feel like the ranch water cocktail or whatever came out shortly after. I mean, but that's not what we were drinking. We were literally drinking water with a big glob of ranch in it that made me dry.
I remember vividly. Yeah, it was not what I'm drinking at all.
Yeah,
I think maybe you guys might be part of the reason some people are so slow to latch onto my ranch water movement that I got going on.
Yeah, they've got just scar tissue from DB just hacking up a lung after drinking that. So
absolutely.
Listen, I mean, it is well documented on the show because I've had to drink some nasty stuff. Like I have this. I mean, I'm an adult and I have a gag reflex. I can't change it. It is me. I thought I'd grow out of it as a kid, but it doesn't happen. So if it's nasty, I'm gonna uncontrollably dry heave on the show, which we won't have to do today because we don't have any bets going. We're not doing any of that, but we are here to have you help educate the listener and the viewers here on the Bettor Sports Network about Showdown, because you are the Showdown king. You put out a ton of great Showdown content. I don't know how you do it. I mean, every single round of golf, you're talking Showdown and you're helping people win money. So I guess the first thing I would say is, like, for someone who's not really dipped their toe in the Showdown waters, especially in golf, because I know you also do some football stuff, like sell us on why Showdown and kind of the rush you find that you get from playing Showdown.
First of all, you said there's going to be no gag reflex today. We are going to be talking about people like Denny McCarthy. So, I mean, there is going to be a little bit of gag reflex going on. Look, so this is like the easiest selling point ever. I think so many people get discouraged by week-long PGA DFS because you need so many things to go right? You need by and large, you need some chalk to bust. You need to get 6 of 6 through the cut. You need your guys to not implode on the weekend. You need your one flyer to come through, and you got to get all those things to go right. And if you do, then maybe you get a sweat on Sunday. And it's like, there's so many things that you have to get to go right over 4 days that it's, it's a very, very rare thing that happens. Whereas in Showdown, like we have an idea of what the course is going to do because we're actually going off of real data that we've seen, right? Like when I'm playing round 2, round 3, and round 4 Showdown, I'm not projecting how the course is going to play. I'm not projecting who's going to ball strike. I know who is doing those things. And so because of that, I'm actually using like real data to help me make better choices. Whereas before the tournament, even the smartest people, we're just projecting how the course is going to play. We're just projecting who is going to be a good fit. And we really don't have any idea. But after we've seen 1, 2, or 3 rounds, we have a very good idea of who is doing these things and who becomes the really good plays.
So you strategically mentioned like a round 2, 3, 4 there. Safe to assume like you go a little lighter in round 1 just to kind of see how things shake out?
Yeah, so round 1 this week is kind of an exception, right? Because they're doing the 3-course rotation. There's such an edge to be had by just knowing to play Monterey Peninsula. And I'll grant you that probably 60 to 70% of all lineups this week will know to just play guys from Monterey Peninsula because it's certainly the easier of the 3 courses. But if that means that 30% of people are building unoptimal lineups, that's still a huge edge. That's covering the rake and a big portion of the GPP contest. So because of that, I will be playing round 1 this week, but typically I don't play much round 1 on a single course just because I've got my week-long sweats going on and I don't have any data other than projecting.
Yep. What about
can I tell my dogs to be quiet? I guess like the mailman just showed up.
Tell him to shut up. Tell him you're on the Bettor Sports Network.
He's gone. He just dropped off a package. It's cool. Jeez Louise. The whole interview is just gonna be like, what's going on? Does this guy run an animal rescue? Not yet. That's in the future.
Maybe it's more hats.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it.
Okay, so what about just in general, like things to know, strategies, basics, kind of things to know for those wanting to get into Showdown?
Yeah, so a lot of people will go look at like stats from the previous round, and the most basic level is just let's go see who was ball striking and who didn't do real, who kind of shitted away around the greens, right? Maybe around the greens, maybe putting, because those things can bounce back so easily round to round, whereas ball striking tends to be consistent over a 4-round basis, and that's a really good starting point to start your lineups. But like once in the year that I've been doing Showdown, I think I've already started to see the needle move where people are starting to realize that that's a very basic entry strategy. Really where the real strategy comes in is looking at guys who did really poorly the round before and just understanding that these guys are professional golfers and they can bounce back, right? Like you could go get, I'm trying to think of somebody that, like Tony Finau or no, Sam Burns at the Open Championship this past year. On Saturday, he shot like an 8 over. He was dead last. You could never play him, or you could. And he went and shot a -8 on Sunday and, literally was the nuts play that day that you had to have to win any GPPs. And so you can really lean into just getting incredibly talented players who are going to get 18 holes of golf in at 1 or 2% ownership. And the leverage game that everybody wants to play in week long is tenfold at Showdown.
I'd imagine too on the on your scenario, like with Sam Burns, like that's different when it's Sam Burns, who's a world-class player who just has a really crappy day for some reason. And maybe you dig into the shots and you figure out what, kind of where he lost all those strokes and what happened. I'd imagine that's different than when you see, freaking
Sam Ryder,
Andrew Putnam or Sam Ryder do it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So we're just coming off of what did we have last week? The Farmers, right? Yeah. And this is a big edge in round 4 Showdown. Sam Ryder was 30 to 40% owned on round 4 Showdown. And Sam Ryder is leading a major event that he's not a prolific winner. He's never really been in that position, and people are going to play him because they think that he's going to get finishing points, and they fail to account that like Sam Ryder's, his butthole's going to pucker up and he's going to be nervous as hell on Sunday. He's not going to be firing at flags. He's going to be playing for pars. And in a single round of Showdown, birdies are king. And, where they start the round doesn't matter. It's where they finish. So when 40% of people played Sam Ryder this last week at the Farmers Insurance, they're basically just giving you money. That is a horrific pick in a game theory world.
Love it.
What are some, we always talk about contest selection when we're talking about, your week-long fantasy and DFS lineups. When you're looking at contest selection for Showdowns, what are your go-tos? What are the ones that you think you really have to play? Do you do double ups and things like that? What are your favorite contests to play in and strategy around that as far as selection?
Well, this one hits close to home because I've been working with my host for 6 months to get better Showdown contests. There's such a great variety of contests at week long, and that just doesn't exist in the Showdown world. So I actually have got them to make a $10 18 max, and it's a nice flat payout structure ×2 on the, on a min cash, all those things that we kind of want to see for a good contest. And even getting that made and adding a little variety, it's still basically just the one big lotto. And then, you basic $100 single entries, your $200 single entries. But what I've really been pushing people to try to do more in Showdown is just go play double ups and 50-50s. It's much more sustainable for your money. and it's just so easy. Like this last Saturday, Sung JM had a tough round on Friday, so no one's going to play Sung JM, even though he was ball striking the hell out of it, and even though he's Sung JM, you just go put him in a double up lineup and just play the odds that Sung Jae is going to get his short game figured out, and you're going to have a nuts play in your cash lineup at basically 5%, whereas everybody else is going to go chase a JT round because he's coming off of a great round, and he could never do bad, or he could. And like once you understand that, like there really starts to become a lot of it becomes very easy to beat people at cash. And this week when we got multiple courses, just go play cash, because a lot of people are going to be playing guys that are over at like Spyglass Hill. Why the hell would you play a guy there? That's so ridiculous.
So are there any other like big differences in how to approach the cash lineup versus the GPP Showdown lineup, or is it similar to your more classic builds where ownership leverage becomes a little less important? You still nice to have a little bit of that, but it's a little less about that. But I mean, in a cash game for a full 4 rounds, you're more concerned about just getting everybody through the cut, whereas Showdown is just 1 round. So what are the real differences there?
Yeah, so like let's just take round 4 Showdown from this past weekend. Like in my big $200 single entry, my $100 single entries, I was all over Eric Barnes, right? He was like a $6,400 punt, and he ended up doing great, right? I look like a genius when a guy like that hits at 2%. But I would never consider a guy like that in my cash lineup. But my cash lineup, I am trying to get 6 golfers that are like good golfers. No offense to Eric Barnes. He's a good golfer on certain days, but like I want 6 legit golfers, right? Like I want like the last guy in my lineup to be like Adam Hadwin or something like that, right? I want 6 PGA regulars, and I want guys that are not coming off of super hot rounds, because if you're not one of the top 20 players in the world, it's just so hard to follow up great rounds with great rounds, or even a good round after a great round. So I try to stay away from that, and I just try to get guys that are coming that maybe spun their wheels the day before, but were still strong on approach, or just gagged it away, with the putter, even though they're, usually a good putter, stuff like that. And you just go get 6 solid plays like that, and that will get you pretty far, because people are going to go chase those guys. They're going to go chase Sam Ryder because he had a -8 the day before, and not understand that Sam Ryder is going to go shoot a +2 on Sunday because he's nervous.
I feel like with Showdown too, like with week long, we always say you got to have a short memory, but we do want to look at like recent form and course history and that kind of thing. But with Showdown, I feel like I really need Will Smith at the beginning of the day to shoot me with a memory stick and basically just erase everything that I thought I knew the day before and just start over. And then I would win some money.
Yeah, when you play Showdown, and if you're going to be a Showdown guy, you've got to do the Men in Black Will Smith and be like, just forget everything you saw, because like Showdown, and why there's such an edge there, it is just such a counterintuitive game, right? So many DFS sports are about, like this guy's intuitively a good play, but really what makes good Showdown plays, because we have such a wild variance in a single round of 18 holes of golf. Just one bounce can be the difference between a double bogey or a birdie, right? And when you have that kind of variance in a single round and you learn to embrace it, that's where the real edge is. And then you also got to just accept that sometimes, John Rahm's going to be 60% owned and he's going to go shoot a -8. And like, that's just the world you got to live in with Showdown. But for every time he, then sometimes he goes and shoots, what do you shoot? Like a +3 on Sunday. Yeah. And now you've just blocked out 60% of the field by fading one guy. 60% of all lineups are dead because of one guy. You'll never get that in week long.
So what's the first thing you do? So after the round's finished and you're getting ready to start evaluating the next day's Showdown plays, what's, every DFS player has their first thing they go to look at, whether it's classic builds, 4 rounds, or Showdown, cash, or GPP. You have like this first couple things. Is your first thing like, let me go and find the most talented players in the field who suck today?
Yeah, absolutely. I love to, especially it's kind of different round to round, but like, for round 3 Showdown specifically, right after the cut at most tournaments, not at this slapdick tournament, but at most tournaments, round 3 is, coming off of the cut. I love to go find big guys who made the cut on the number. Tony Finau was a perfect example this last week, right? Literally made it on the number at even, and then went out Saturday and just absolutely roasted the course at a -8. And you're going to get those guys at discounted ownership simply because there's this prevailing narrative that, oh, he just made it on the number, he's not playing well this week, so I'll go play these other guys that are up towards the top of the leaderboard. But like in a vacuum, Tony Finau is exactly 50-50 to outscore Colin Morikawa on a round 3 Showdown, right? But Colin Morikawa is going to be twice his ownership. So it becomes a really easy game to go find studs that are down low that just made it on the number. And that's a great way to have a lineup that can really take off and have a low owned guy.
Love that. That's great strategy. Good Showdown talk. You're getting me jazzed up to play more Showdown, James. So we appreciate you coming on. Tell the people where they can find you, what you got cooking. Sell yourself, brother.
Yeah, so like if you don't like, basically, I've kind of become known as the Showdown guy, but I also want to be known as the ownership guy. I'm a sweaty try hard that puts out really good ownership. I compare it to everybody else in the industry because if you don't know, if you're playing week long and you're trying to get good leverage and get good ownership, to make the proper decisions about your lineups, like you got to have good information to base that off of. So, I have that and I do my Wednesday night stream, 7 p.m. Lord's time zone, which is central for all of you that don't know. You should check it out. Someone told me it was the most viewed stream this last week. So I was excited about that. Talk ownership, talk weather, talk game theory, talk a little bit of models. I'm not much of a model guy. And then of course I have my staple of my channel, which is the Showdown Hoedown after round 3 and round 4 on YouTube every, Friday and Saturday night, except last week. Cause what a weird ass tournament that was.
Yeah.
That's
well,
it.
You do great stuff, man. We appreciate you. Appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you supporting the Tour Junkies and educating us and the listeners here on the Bettor Sports Network. And we'll have you on. We'll definitely have you on again.
I appreciate it, man. It's a dream come true to be on with dudes I've been listening to forever.
Thanks, dude. That is the Degenerate75. You need to follow him on Twitter if you're not already as well, at the Degenerate75. Stay right here on the Tour Junkies Golf Show on the Bettor Sports Network. We will be right back, closing it up.
Tour Junkies on Bettor Sports Network. The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
Before the year, I said the Eagles were going to win the NFC East. I don't know if you remember that. I am a Cowboys fan. I do hate the Eagles. But anyone who has listened to me over the years knows that I can be objective. So I tweeted out, has there ever been a team that has an easier path to the Super Bowl than Philadelphia? Of course, the Eagles fans got on me. And I wasn't really alluding to the regular season. I know the tweet could be taken that way. But when you look at this playoff path, they had a first-round bye, then they beat the Giants, okay? But anyone who was being reasonable, especially with Jalen Hurts, knew the Giants were not in the class of Philadelphia. Then you get to the NFC Championship game where the quarterback got hurt early in the game. And then the fourth-string quarterback, Josh Johnson, leaves with a concussion, and then they couldn't pass the ball. That's your path to getting to the Super Bowl. It doesn't mean that I'm saying the Eagles suck. I never said that. People are so sensitive. Anyone who's listened to me all year, I have given this team props. But the fact is they had an easy path. And like, well, they destroyed both teams. They did. Now the 49ers are good. And then someone's like, oh, well, they beat your Cowboys. Who did I pick to win last week? San Francisco, right? I picked San Francisco to beat Dallas. I didn't want that to happen, but I'm analyzing the game. I despise the Yankees. Anyone who knows me knows that. I had every Yankee starting pitcher on a fantasy roster last year. Every one of them. This year, the Superflex draft that we did, an industry draft, I took Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, Daniel Jones, Kadarius Toney. And people afterward, you a Giants fan? No, bro. I want to win. It doesn't matter what team they're on. I don't care. I want to win. Do I despise those teams? Yes. But I want to win. If I feel they're the best fit for my fantasy team, I'm going to draft them. If I feel a bet is going to win and I hate that team, I'm going to bet it. It's about winning. It's about helping people make money. We all have that little bias in us, no doubt. But I will say this, I'm being honest. I hope Philadelphia gets smoked in the Super Bowl, okay? I am rooting for Kansas City. My man Patrick Mahomes, my dad played for the Mets. But I will analyze the game objectively, okay? Because I want the Eagles to lose. That doesn't mean I'm picking Kansas City. I'm going to analyze the game because I'm going to look at it as if I'm putting my money down. So it has nothing to do with that. And I don't know why people automatically, oh, you're a Cowboys fan, this and that. Well, yeah, I see your stupid avatar that you're an Eagles fan. You're clearly biased. Can we just agree that the path was easy? It doesn't diminish that they're in the Super Bowl. I didn't say they suck. I didn't say they don't deserve to be there. I just said the path was easy, and I don't think that's factually incorrect. And I didn't mean it for the regular season. I know it could be interpreted that way. Did they have great wins? No, but you know what? It doesn't matter. They were 14-3. They beat everyone they're supposed to beat. You know, they lost 2 games without Jalen Hurts. It's not discrediting them.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com. Weekdays at 5 Eastern on Bettor Sports Network. Now back to Tour Junkies on Bettor Sports Network.
Welcome back to the Tour Junkies Golf Show, the final segment for the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am Week. I'm DB. I got my boy Pat Perry with me, breaking it down here on the Bettor Sports Network. Just had a phenomenal conversation with James, aka the Degenerate75, the Showdown King, if you ask me on the Twitter streets. Very enlightening stuff. If you missed that segment for any reason, go back and check it out. A lot of just overall game theory strategy when it comes to playing PGA Showdown. Pat, did you learn something there? Did you learn something?
I absolutely learned something. I don't play a lot of Showdown. You know, it used to be before when Showdown first came out. I remember you and I, we did questions in the Nut Hut in our Discord chat, and it'd be Showdown related. And we didn't really have a whole lot of people either that were helping us or supporting us with Showdowns. And so we'd always kind of just default to, well, we don't really play a lot of Showdowns.
Yeah.
But now they're way more popular, and you really can't have that. That's really kind of a bad way to look at it, to be honest. So it's you know, I've started to dabble in it a little bit more. So it's nice to hear from the Degenerate there. He has a lot of good thoughts on it, and I like to just getting to start over. It's a new day, DB. You know, Friday's a new day, Saturday's a new day, Sunday.
Yeah.
You get to try new things, you know?
Yeah.
You get to play a Jonas Blix, DB, if you want to play a Jonas Blix and Showdown. No, we can't. Okay, we can't do that.
Yeah, we
Maybe
can't
I was
push.
going a little overboard there.
Yeah, you stepped over the line. I mean, you know, typically with a lot of new DFS formats, right? The contest sizes come out and they're so small. I remember that kind of being the turnoff initially, was just that the contests were small. There wasn't a whole lot of, you weren't getting a whole lot of, you know, earning potential out of Showdown contests. But as they've become more popular, they've grown in popularity. They've grown the prize pools, which is nice. DraftKings definitely does it the best when it comes to golf and Showdown. So definitely worth dipping your toe in and trying it out. It appears there is still somewhat of an edge to be had, and the edge is diminishing day by day when it comes to DFS. So you got to get it while you can, and get it while the getting's good. You know, that's what Mama used to say. But speaking of edge, let's talk about our cash lineups, Pat. Let's talk about our DraftKings cash lineup. We're doing it every single week. We're giving you a DraftKings golf cash lineup. Put this thing in a 50-50 or a double up, or, you know, you don't have to put it in there if you don't like every play about it, but listen to the thought process, listen to how we go about breaking down the players and how we go about constructing the lineup, because all we're really trying to do is help expose you, if you're new to PGA DFS, just expose you to maybe new options, new ways to play. And if you're going to dip your toe in the water, dip it in that 50-50 double up category first, and kind of get used to what you're doing, build the bankroll up a little bit more, and then start trying out the GPPs. But when we're talking PGA cash games, we're talking balanced lineups, balanced builds, not getting caught up with playing the guys at the very top just because they're sexy and their names we like and their names we cheer for. Because at the end of the day, if you cash in a cash lineup, you all make the same amount of money, right? You're all going to double it up. If you put it in $10 50-50, you're going to get $20 whether you finish first or you finish the last person paid. So that's what we're here to do. We've been dishing it out for a few weeks. We're 2-1, so we're up, Pat. Let's keep it rolling. I don't remember who started last week. I don't think I'll ever remember who started each week. So we're just
maybe we should mark that. But
nah,
you want me to start?
No.
Or you got somebody?
No, I want to start.
Okay. All right.
Let's start. Let's just go ahead and get Maverick McNeely out of the way. I think we both like him. We've talked about a good bit. Got a good record here at Pebble Beach. He's from this part of California, and he's just playing lights out right now. $9,600. I kind of feel like Mav is really a solid starting point.
Okay. All right. Well, I am going to then, I'm actually going to drop down, but I'm going to get in the 8K range, but I'm not going to, because I know this leaves us with about an 8,000 average, but I still think, DB, we need to get a guy like Alex Smalley in this lineup. Alex Smalley is 8,700. He's made 8 of 10 cuts this year. He fits the profile for this course incredibly. So I just like the consistency that he has. I like the profile, the fit here. So I think we need to go Alex Smalley at 8,700.
Well, I'm a big fan of Alex Smalley this week. I mean, the ball striking, as you mentioned, has been tremendous. He's showing no signs of slowing down. Young kid. He did play here last year. I think he missed the cut, but I mean, not a huge deal. First time playing Pebble Beach, doing his thing. He's just been hot. So I'm with you on Alex Smalley. Let's see. Who do we like? Scrolling down. I mean, we could go. I could I talk you into one of my favorite guys that I think is going to get it done one of these days, but he doesn't have to get it done in the cash lineup. I'm going to go. What do you think about David Lipsky at 8,200?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Lipsky.
Are you? Okay.
This is. I mean, you talk about course fit. I mean, you immediately look to Lipsky, and the dude can scramble like crazy if he does miss some of these greens out here. So I like Lipsky.
And I honestly think, like we said earlier, like ownership leverage, not a huge deal in a cash game, but it's nice to have some of it. I think Lipsky's going to be someone who a lot of people don't play in cash whatsoever. Coming off a T4 finish at Sony, which is a course, similar to some of these courses at Pebble Beach, kind of your accuracy types, hit it in the fairway, short irons and wedges in, make some putts, do your thing. Had 4 rounds in the 60s there, finished T4, was in the conversation on Sunday, but never quite got all the way up there. So, all right, yeah. Lipsky, that's our first 3 names, leaves us with an average remaining salary per player at $78.33.
Well, I really think we got to drop down to Russell Knox at 7,500. Russ is, a lot of people, he plays a ton of golf for one. He makes a lot of cuts. I think with the colder, little bit windier weather with his ball striking ability, I think this is, it will fit into his game perfectly this week. And you look at his history here. I mean, he's had, out of the last 5 years, he's made 4 or 5 cuts. 3 of those have been inside the top 15. Now, really, it's 7,400 or 7,500. You really are just hoping he, has some upside and makes the cut. But he has even more upside just based off his finishes in recent history. T33 last year. So Russell Knox, I think we add him at 7,500 and give us a little more cash in here.
Yeah. Now what am I going to do? So we got 2 players left, 8,000 remaining average. Do I pick the lower price guy and make it easy on you, or do I pick the higher price guy and make it hard on you? Names in here that are interesting are like Robbie Shelton, we've talked about, Scott Stallings, Eric Van Rooyen, Nick Taylor. Former winner here, probably I feel like gives us a high floor. Ben Griffin has been playing really well. That's probably as high as we need to go. Probably won't do that. So what do we say? What if we go right on the dot with EVR at 8,000? Eric Van Rooyen, the South African, coming off a T6 at the Amex, where he had around a 62 on round 4.
I like EVR. I like him.
Yeah,
I think he's a good play in tournaments too, but I don't mind him in cash.
He is. I think he is going to be a good play in tournaments. I agree.
Yeah. All right. So that's going to leave me with 8,000. I know you're a big fan right there at 8,000 of Nick Taylor. You got guys like, Davis Riley in here. But Nick Taylor concerns me just a little bit. So I think I'd like to go Robbie Shelton. And actually, that was going to be the first guy I went to after you picked Mav McNeely to give us a little room. So we've got the room. Let's go with Robbie Shelton right there.
I don't hate it. So total agreement here, making this one out. Very balanced. As you can see, our most expensive player, 9,600, is Mav McNeely, but our cheapest player is at 7,500, Russell Knox, which this is a good PGA cash lineup. You need these guys to just get through now, I will say 54-hole cut means it's a little less important to get, 6 of 6 through. But it's always a good thing. If you get 6 of 6 through to the cut on a PGA cash lineup, you're going to cash. So it's Mav McNeely, it's Alex Smalley, it's David Lipsky, it's Eric Van Rooyen, Robbie Shelton, and Russell Knox are your those are your guys.
All right, well, that is this week for the Bettor Sports Network show with the Tour Junkies. Thanks for coming along for the ride with us. May all your bets go well. May your screens be green. Let's win some cash this week. Let's win some DFS